Good evening, President Nitin sir.
Sir.
Salute.
Salute. Where are you?
Sir, in Bangalore only.
Okay, great.
Sir, good evening.
Doctors, if you're not speaking, please do not unmute because it causes disturbances.
Akita, you should actually mute everyone till we start.
Yeah, I am. But you know, if 4 doctors are speaking and then there's some background noise from some other.
No, so I'm saying mute everyone, na?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you have the control. Yeah, you can.
Yes.
Nobody dares to discuss this kind of legislation with mob justice as and when they need. There's no
Dr. Rajesh, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Doctor, do you want me to make co-host to the doctors who will be actually speaking and then do not allow others to unmute themselves?
You can do that depending on how many co-hosts can you make. Or then I will keep a tab on that if people unmute out of turn.
Okay. We both can then.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So what I suggest, Rajesh, is that for the first 1 hour, the people who are doing the all the presidents, everything, when that is over, then let 4 of us be there, and rest, and then at the end we'll open up.
Yes, till the presentations are going on, we should make doctors co-host who will be speaking and do not allow others to unmute themselves. And at later stage, we can allow if they want to ask questions.
Correct.
Upenji, good evening.
Good evening, Basao. Good evening, Rajesh. Good evening, Nitin.
Nehal madam, good evening.
Good evening.
Chokani sir, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody, sir. Hello, sir.
So Basav, you are in the clinic?
Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome.
Like the Tata say that हम ispat भी बनाते हैं. Basav has to say I also practice.
Yes, sir. That is the basic thing, sir. Hi, Chetan.
The
Welcome.
Next 3 years are going to be tough for all of you.
Good evening, Basaraj.
Good evening, Chetan.
Chetan
Good
bhai,
evening.
पूछो.
हाँ,
Future President Chetan bhai. अरे दिल की बात बोल दी यार.
good evening, Upendra.
Good evening, Chetan bhai.
Alok sir,
Namaskar, Alok bhai.
Good evening, Alok sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Alok sir.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Amrita.
sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Evening, Amruta.
Good evening, sir.
Rajesh, has Mita joined? Just check. Otherwise, call her up. No?
Yeah, she's very much there.
She's joined.
Sir, I've joined.
Oh, okay. I didn't see you.
Hello.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Meeta.
Hi. Hello, Dr.
Hi.
Nehal.
Hi,
Hi.
Mita.
Hi.
Yeah.
Mita is the star of tonight.
Nice,
Yes.
sir. Nothing like that,
So
sir.
two
Thank you.
stars are there.
All are stars.
All is sun.
Ramesh has joined?
Sorry, Nitin.
No, sir, I haven't
Dr.
seen
Ramesh?
his name in the list, sir.
Correct. Someone can call him up, then we could have started in next 2-3 minutes. Huh?
This should be a houseful meeting.
Hi.
Doesn't matter. Once we are interested, we'll join.
हेलो नितिन की कैसे हैं?
Oh, I'm fine.
केम छो?
Pajama.
मजामा?
Yes.
So is Dr. Vineet there? I didn't read his name.
विनीत भाई आप हो जरा गुड इवनिंग बोल दो.
Oh, Vineet Saxena is not there, and Ramesh sir
Ramesh.
is not picking up the phone.
I'll call up Vineet. You continue to try Ramesh. I'll call up Vineet.
Should we start, Nitin?
I'm just trying, Vinit. Let me just last chance, otherwise we'll start. I think Rajesh start because both of them are not picking up. With as they join, I think someone can keep a tab when they join, so you know.
Yes,
Maybe
sure.
Amruta can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Amruta, you just see Ramesh Kumar and Dr. Vinit. If they join,
I'll do that. Yes.
Oh, good evening, friends, and welcome to this discussion today. I think all of you will agree that just as we were all heaving a sigh of relief, looking backward and telling all of us that thank God the storm for 2.5 years is over. And then we turned our heads and looked ahead, we saw a spot of gusty wind, and we dreadfully asked ourselves, is this another storm in the making? So this measles outbreak has really unnerved some of us, and we need to get all our facts right and understand how we should proceed forward. So with those opening words, IIP Mumbai decided to have this session with two of the best possible experts and let everyone understand where we stand. So I'll now ask our Secretary of the branch, Dr. Nehal, to take over the proceedings from here.
Hello, a very good evening to all of you. And on behalf of the team Mumbai IIP, I welcome all the dignitaries here, all the presidents, current, past, all the OBs of the different Maharashtra state branches, all the delegates who have come here and joined. I would invite our President-elect, CIP President-elect, Dr. Upendra Kinjawdekar, 2023, to please come and, sir, say a couple of words regarding this epidemic.
Yeah, very good evening. Thank you so much, Dr. Nehal, Dr. Rajesh, and entire MBIP team. We are part of the team, so it's an honor and privilege to be here on this wonderful evening. So I think the month of November started with as Dr. Rajesh said, the headline that measles cases are coming up in Mumbai. First, it started in tens, then hundreds and 200s and 300s. And unfortunately, the inevitable, the mortality factor also started creeping in. I would say, Rajesh, it didn't unnerve some of us. Almost every one of us was on back foot. And we started wondering what is happening exactly. Was it because of the effect of COVID that we were saying? Or was it only because of the vaccination failure? Because we felt understood the figures had come to 41% of coverage of measles vaccine as compared to 85 to 90%. So was it the only reason? Was it COVID? Or was it affecting the younger generation much more, less than 6 months, 6 to 9 months, whom we are not protecting by vaccine? So many factors started coming in our mind, and we need to have answers. I think most of us know the theory behind it, but when Dr. Nitin Shah or Dr. Mitavashi is going to be there, I'm sure we're going to get solutions to how to go ahead about this. Whether to give an extra dose, don't count it, what is going to happen, and is it a short-lived or it's going to be a extended, what is coming in near future. So I'm sure with Dr. Rajesh and Nehal at the helm of affairs to get the best of these two speakers, this is going to be an exciting, enriching, and completely scientific session. I'm sure about it. So let's all enjoy happy learning to each one of us. Thank you so much.
Nehal, unmute.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for all those words, Dr. Upendra. And yes, of course, we have the best of the two experts, as you said. So a lot of doubts are going to be cleared. I would invite now the CIP President-elect 2024, Dr. Basav Raja, who's also an equally good and very good academician, epidemiology-wise. So, sir, could you also come and share a couple of words regarding this outbreak here that we are facing now?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nihal, and respected our Honorable President of 2023, Dr. Bhupender, and our Presidents of President, none other than Nitin Shah, sir. Of course, the great initiative, whenever there is a crisis in a pediatric or in a pediatric community, always Mumbai wakes up and finds a solution. This time, Dr. Rajesh Chokani, sir, our President of Mumbai, Nehal Shah, and of course our Treasurer Amruta, and all the team of IAP Mumbai really taken a great initiative to initiate this program. I could see our Honorable Secretary, Dr. Vinit Saxena ji is joining. Of course, Dr. Ramesh sir will also be joining shortly. So this is a great initiative, one of the best stalwart in the field of infectious disease and immunology, Dr. Nitin Shah sir, along with WHO expert Dr. Meeta Vashi. We are looking forward to find a solution to what the present outbreak of 12 deaths and 1,200 cases which has been reported in the thing, and of course more than 9,000 cases which has been reported across India. And not only in the Mumbai, in the other places also, we are seeing this outbreak slowly started occurring. So basically, these are the three reasons why these things is happening. We anticipated in 2021 itself, where the vaccination in general, not only the measles, other vaccination is also affected. So IAP has taken initiative during 2021 and reinforced in 2022. And decreased surveillance is another thing. And delayed and interrupted immunization coverage. These are the things which is really so we're looking forward to listen to more. So I'm sure this is going to be one of the best scientific session. I could testimony to this. Lot of experts like Dr. Alok Gupta ji, Dr. Chetan Trivedi, Dr. Satish Pandya, Bela Verma Madam, our Maharashtra President Hemant Gangolia ji, and many of the experts has joined to listen to this. I will not take much. Wish you all the best for the program. In between, if there is anything, I'll add it. Thank you. Looking forward to our President Nitin Shah, sir, and vaccinology expert.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for those words. This session, of course, the introductory remarks would be incomplete if I don't invite our Secretary General CIP, Dr. Vinit Saxena, sir, who's just joined. Sir, would you please come in and speak a few words?
Thank you, Dr. Nehal. Respected Dr. Nitin Shah, sir, President IAP 23, Dr. Upendra 24, Dr. Basavraj. This is actually Mumbai IAP, whatever we were not proved ourselves for advocacy, that task has been taken by Mumbai IAP. That's a great initiative. In fact, advocacy and surveillance is the area where IAP is, I think we have to improve by the new definition that every fever with rash should be reported. But honestly, I accept that most of our colleagues are not aware of. So there is a need of strong advocacy from IAP side, and I promise whatever this expert group suggests IAP office, we will definitely disseminate all messages to the highest level. So I must thank Mumbai IAP, especially Nitin Shah sir and Dr. Rajesh Chukhani for keeping this issue in limelight, and I'm hopeful that today's session will be important and gives us a path for surveillance advocacy. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, sir. Mumbai is very much a part of Maharashtra. And of course, with Dr. Hemant Gangolia there, who's the president MHAIP. So would you come in and speak a couple of words regarding this outbreak and the discussion today that is going to follow?
Good evening, Dr. Nehal, Madam, and respected dignitaries, all respected dignitaries on the dais, and to those who are watching this program. Hearty congratulations, Mumbai IAP, to arrange such a nice program, and I'm sure it will be very successful. All things are being said, everything has been said, मुझे खाली यही बोलना है, सभी आउटब्रेक से सब कंफ्यूजन है, प्रॉब्लम है, और अपने लिए सोल्यूशन के लिए मास्टर डॉक्टर नितिन शाह, एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी फैकल्टी विथ एज वेल our WHO representative is there. I'm sure it will really solve, it will provide all the solution to all our questions and all our queries. All the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hemant Gangulia, sir. And I don't see Dr. Amol. Okay, I would now request Dr. Chokhani, sir, President Mumbai IIP, to kindly introduce the two experts, stalwarts, and yes, multiple stars of the evening today. Over to you, sir.
I think so Basavaraj sir already said, Dr. Nitin Shah is known in many, has been described in many ways. One of them he used was President of Presidents. So we all know that he has been a past president of IIP, and we also know that he is attached to various hospitals, Hinduja, Apollo, Vadia, and so on and so forth. But we also know that he dons many hats. So we know him as a star pediatric hemato-oncologist. But today he is here in his capacity as a vaccinologist par excellence. We know that he has been an advisor to the Committee on Immunization of IIP for a long time, and he has been an editor of immunization textbooks and is almost the final word in vaccinology anywhere, anytime. So today he is here in that capacity. And then, of course, we have Dr. Meeta Vashi, who after her MBBS did her master's in preventive and social medicine. She has 20 years of experience post-qualification and is currently working as a surveillance medical officer for WHO in Mumbai. Her main areas of work include vaccine preventable disease surveillance and monitoring, and therefore today's session has the best of the best. Nitin Shah in a double role as a vaccinologist and a star general pediatrician, and Dr. Meeta Vashi, a very good public health expert. So we couldn't have asked for more. So with that, I think let's start the ball rolling. Let's lay the ground rules. Everyone, please keep yourself muted. We have thought of some issues which will bother every pediatrician, everyone who's attending this session. So let us run through those issues with the experts. And once we are through with those issues and the experts' answer, whatever is left unasked and unanswered, please put it in the chat box and we will definitely ask them and try to sort your queries. So let's start the ball rolling. Nehal, to start first, thanks. I'll just share the screen.
Okay. Sir, so Nitin Shah, sir, we would start with you. Everywhere in the news, we are reading about Mumbai being the epicenter of the current measles outbreak. So what is the status of this current measles outbreak in Mumbai? And in terms of from which areas are these cases are being reported? Any particular pockets of Mumbai geographical area that you would comment, sir?
Correct. So before I come specific to the Mumbai Nehal, let me remind everyone that measles vaccination started somewhere in 1963. And before that, we used to have almost 70 million cases of measles in children below the age of 5 years world over. And that would result in almost 5% mortality in the form of 2.6 million deaths. Now from there, after having measles vaccination and off late having 2 doses of measles containing vaccine in the routine immunization and also a round of MR campaign in most of the countries, we were down to the last 9 million cases of measles world over and around 0.12 million. There's around 120,000 deaths due to measles world over in 2021. And in fact, 82 countries eliminated measles and 81 countries eliminated rubella with the use of MR vaccine in the campaign made and in the routine immunization. However, because of various reasons, there has been resurgence of measles world over. And I'm sure we can discuss what's the situation in the world later. But coming to our own city of Mumbai, which is the reason why we are all here together, is that their outbreak started somewhere in September. So first case came from Govandi area near Chembur. And after that, that area picked up. That is known as the M ward. And then subsequently cases were also reported from Kurla. They were reported from Dharavi slums, and they were also reported from Entofil. And then lastly, we have seen some cases which are like scattered cases also in the western suburb. So gradually the measles outbreak seems to be spreading in the city. Now, more than 3,000 suspected cases of measles are recorded from Mumbai the last 2 months. Now, out of which almost 250 to 260 are actually proven in the form of either a nasal throat swab, which has shown measles virus on PCR, or an IgM antibody done for measles, which is positive. Now, as we will discuss as the time goes, we cannot do this test in every child who is suspected for the simple reason that it will really, the laboratory cannot handle so much load. So we are concentrating more in finding out new areas where outbreaks are happening and testing children from there rather than testing children from areas which are already known to have outbreaks. So almost more than 68 outbreaks have happened in Maharashtra, of which around 29 or so are from Mumbai. And 7 districts of Maharashtra are already affected, including the nearby areas of Bhiwandi and Thane besides Mumbai. So around 12 to 13 children have died so far of measles in Mumbai. Several are admitted in various hospitals. Initially, Kasturba Hospital, which is the hospital for infectious diseases. But now the arrangements have been made by BMC to admit children also in some other 5-6 hospitals so that everyone can have a hospital nearby. And some of them are needing oxygen support and some of them are in ICU. These numbers, of course, keep fluctuating depending upon how many recovered and how many new cases are added. But suffice it to say that this might be just the tip of the iceberg. And there might be actually several hundred more cases or several thousand more cases in the community, which will come forth in the next few weeks. Now, it seems that the plateau is around to be achieved in the hot area of Dongri, but it is still very early days. And the other areas are still, new cases are being identified every day and every week.
So that was the second question, that are we looking at all these coming from pockets of the underprivileged, the slums, correct, or are we also seeing a good number coming from high rise? Because so when we are going to go to policies.
Correct. So 100% of the cases are from slums, which have high density of population. They have probably high number of children in a family with poor ventilation. And because of the density and the population, there is a widespread of virus once it enters there. There is not a single case from high-rise building. So that should give a lot of assurance to our friends who are logged in, who are in private practice, who probably cater to a large extent to these people who come from high-rise building. And as we will discuss, it will also have a bearing on who should be given the extra dose of MMR or MR, if at all we have to give. So I think it's a very reassuring that the cases are all from slums, underprivileged children, highly populated, thickly populated, and most of them are unimmunized.
So we can also understand that maybe these are also not immunized completely, partially correct, immunized, and again the density, as you said, which is going to add on to the spread. So correct, any age distribution particularly that you've seen that we are looking at these patients?
Yeah, so around 9% to 12% of the cases are between 6 to 9 months or below 9 months, let's say. All right. Now that is the real challenge because we don't immunize children in 9 months. And I think when we come to vaccination, we can discuss further. Right. Most of the cases are above 9 months in the first 2 years of life, but around 10 to 12% would be between 9 months and 15 months. So we have not seen in adults, but I'm sure measles can also occur in some young adults. So this is the distribution of the age of children in the current. So again, the focus is those 10 to 12% who are below 9 months, and we will see how we can, we could have prevented or we can prevent in future.
So in your experience, which is the youngest child of measles that you've seen?
Yeah, I must tell you, Neil, when I was a resident in 1980s, there used to be a row full of measles children. So we had seen measles at 5 months, 6 months, as early as even 4 months. Of course, they were not proven because we didn't have an antibody test or the RT-PCR at that time. In the current outbreak in Mumbai, the youngest child who died was around 8 months. Of course, Meeta can correct me. And the youngest child of measles who actually survived was around 7 to 8 months. But I understand that there are children admitted in JJ Hospital under Dr. Bela Verma who are 2.5 and 3.5 months of children who have fever with rash. So they are not proven because they are being worked up. It will be very interesting to see if any of them comes either PCR positive or antibody positive. Similarly, I'm sure in Sion Hospital, Dr. Radha Gildial is here. There are cases which are admitted younger than 6 months who have fever with rash, but again, we are waiting for their final diagnosis, whether they are proven. And I mean, you'll be surprised, and we can discuss that later. I had a phone call from one of my colleagues from New Bombay that he had a child who was just around 6 to 7 weeks, and he had fever with rash, and it was reported as fever with rash rightly. And the question was, do you give me vitamin A? How much doses? Will it turn out to be measles? So these are the questions that will be answered in the coming few weeks when we have more data coming from the cases which are being investigated since last 1 month.
So when we are looking at these cases of measles, are we really correlating with their immunization status, as we discussed for sure, and also their nutritional status? So are these two the comorbidities or the factors which are really going to increase the cases?
So absolutely, you are very right. That again, if you see, most of the children are malnourished. In fact, I mean, children who have severe measles who are in hospital, definitely more than 90% are malnourished. And they may also have subtle vitamin A deficiency. If they have not taken vitamin A, they may be also having vitamin D deficiency and also deficiency of iron, my favorite topic. So multiple nutritional deficiency besides macronutrient, micronutrient deficiency also may be one of the reasons for the problem. Now, around 71% are totally unimmunized. So you can see, again, rest assuring all our colleagues who are logged in now, that if your patient have received the age-appropriate measles-containing vaccine, then there is very unlikely to have measles or at least severe measles. Around 8% have received at least 1 dose. So that makes it 80% who are unimmunized or partially immunized. 18% had received 2 doses. But the details are not known as to when they receive the last dose. So it could be too near to the outbreak, in which case, you know, it may take some time for them to get protection. And around 3 to 4%, there is no data on their immunization because the cards are missing. So generally, around 80 to 85% are either unimmunized or partially immunized.
So you just spoke about the risk factors which lead to mortality in these cases. Dr. Meeta, could you give us the statistics of the mortality, which is, of course, 12 to 13 cases? Dr. Nitin Shah just said that we lost because of measles, but anything more that we want to add, which would become for us as the red flags, apart from what we discussed, which causes mortality in these children?
Yeah.
So we need to be a little...
Sure. So total actually 10 deaths in Mumbai, and 3 are of outside Mumbai, which are reported from Mumbai Kasturba Hospital. 2 from Bhiwandi and one was from Vasai Virar Municipal Corporation. Out of 10 deaths in Mumbai, 9 are totally unimmunized. I mean, the child has not received a single dose of measles containing vaccine, and 1 had received only 1 dose. So coming to nutritional status, out of the 10 deaths, 4 had they were nutritionally poor, like Sam was there, or they were on the nutritional diet. And these are from the refusal pockets. All the deaths, like 9 deaths, which are 0 doses, they were from the refusal pockets, though they are not hardcore refusal, but they gave excuse that child was ill, so we did not come or something. But all were unvaccinated. And out of 10, all 9 from Govandi and 1 was from Kurla. So,
Madam, what was the range of the age group? Just to understand that, are we looking at the completely younger ones?
One child was less than 9 months, and all others are between 1 to 5 years.
1 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So even the older ones who were not immunized completely.
Yes.
Right. And why did this happen? I mean, this again to
Yeah.
Dr. Meeta, if we need to know that, you know, we've discussed most of it, but if you could add on.
Yeah. So basically everywhere, like everybody knows, like globally also the immunization coverage has gone down. Like we did MR campaign in 2018, and after 12, like within in those 12 months after the campaign, the number of cases had drastically gone down. The incidence had gone down everywhere. But due to COVID, there was buildup of cohort probably of unvaccinated children. Right now we see that 1 to 4 years account for majority, like 54% of total cases, confirmed cases in Mumbai. So, and if you split it, majority are between 1 to 3 years. So this last 3 years of COVID time, there was buildup of cohort, unvaccinated cohort, in particular some slum areas like in Govandi, and concentrated, localized in some slum areas, and that is probably the reason why this outbreak has happened.
So, madam, is this what they are calling the immune amnesia? Is this something similar to that? Because globally they reported that there were 40 million unimmunized children probably because of the pandemic, and out of which a significant 20% got a breakthrough measles. And as sir said, about 1.28 deaths. So the same thing that we can say over here, which has happened because of the pandemic.
See, basically, because of pandemic, those kids who were due that time for 9 months and 16 months measles, they probably did not go for vaccination, and now the child is 2 year old, and they were, I mean, they were totally missed on the vaccination. So because of pandemic, there was issue from the demand side also. People were scared of going out. At the same time, first initial 3 months, there were no sessions which were held, and whole workforce of government was in COVID management plus COVID vaccination. So routine immunization somehow was, I mean, like there was no priority which was given. Yeah.
Right, man. So we are looking at the same strain, which is probably taken back. It's not a new mutant strain, or
no. All the throat samples that we have taken for virology, all are having D8 virus. So D8 virus is the one which is in circulation in last, like since many years, but since last year only D8 virus is there, and this year also all samples are having D8 virus. So there is no mutant strain as such.
Sure. Thank you, madam.
Now, is this seen? You already mentioned it, but where is it seen outside Maharashtra and maybe in other parts of the world as well?
You asking me?
Yeah, Nitin.
All right. So inside India, I mean, you will be surprised actually if I tell you that the biggest outbreak that has happened is in Haryana, and that happened somewhere in June onwards. So what happens in Mumbai comes in limelight very fast because of very agile media. But Haryana started this outbreak of measles in June, and there were several small places which we had more than 100 cases. So it's not new that it has just started. Now, besides Haryana, it's also there in Bihar, in Orissa, in Jharkhand, in Gujarat, of course, in some parts of Kerala. In Maharashtra, it's there in Malegaon, as I said before, Bhiwandi, Thane, Pune. So a lot of other places are gradually now picking up. Now, the question is, these areas may report measles, which may be endemic. But moment, as we will discuss as the time passes, so what is an outbreak? Moment they have more than 2 cases in a health post block or a community block, then you call it as outbreak. So such outbreak also happen in many parts of this. And besides this, in the world, I mean, we must understand that at least 20 countries have had large disruptive outbreaks of measles. And 10 countries which were actually free from measles, that means they had eliminated measles by the definition, they showed established re-emergence of the vaccine, or established retransmission of the measles virus in the community. So a lot of things which were done was undone. So as Nihal was saying, that out of 550 million under 5 children which are there in the world, 40 million, there's almost 10% are at risk of measles because they missed either first dose, which is 25 million, or the second dose, which is 15 million, which means 10% of the child population is either not immunized or partially immunized. And again, we hold the dubious distinction that if you look at the 3 major countries which contribute to these children who have missed their measles vaccination, then 1/3 of them are in either India, Pakistan, or Nigeria. So that is the reason why we are having this such widespread outbreak in the community.
Nitya, can you explain to us when do you call it an outbreak?
Sure, sir.
One case of measles, can we call it an outbreak?
Sir, there is a Government of India measles rubella guidelines, which defines outbreak as 5 cases in one planning unit or 1 measles death. If there is a single measles death, it is an outbreak. Or in a planning unit, like we have a health posts in Mumbai, like PHCs, like health posts. So in one health post, if there are 5 suspected fever rash cases, then we call it as an outbreak. It is flagged as an outbreak and it is confirmed after sample collection.
Now we were discussing that it is there in some pockets, some concentrated pockets. I believe that it is not yet there in my ward, my municipal ward. Now, as a practicing pediatrician, how will I know that it has arrived in my ward? How will I keep tabs on this?
Okay. Sir, actually, there are selected wards, like Sir said, M East, that is Govandi, and L ward, F North, G North, E ward, and P North ward. These are the wards where right now we are having outbreaks. And outbreaks are also localized to health posts. Like in M East ward, we have 8 outbreaks at present. Because out of 15 health posts, 8 planning units are having 5 cases or 2 confirmed cases at least. So, and the outbreak lists at like BMC, because they are planning with the ORI, it is going to be released. The outbreak areas list will be released.
Yeah,
So
because
I want to ask one.
Later, our
Can I ask one question, Rajesh?
Whether, yeah, Nitin.
So Mita, like in COVID, we had that dashboard where anyone, even a layperson, could go and find out what's happening.
Coming to.
Okay,
yeah, that's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
No,
so is there such a dashboard for measles?
Yeah.
Sir, at present, we don't have a dashboard for measles, but COVID war rooms that BMC has created. So they have started now utilizing the same numbers for measles in this 4 wards where they are having maximum cases. But since ORI is planned, I mean, the suggestions can be given to them that it should be released on their website, the areas of outbreak.
So I have one more suggestion, Mita, is that suppose there is an outbreak in another ward or another area, another health post, at least through WhatsApp. So you have numbers of most of the pediatricians. You can make a WhatsApp group and you can inform them that now a new outbreak area is found and this is the area. Then the pediatrician in that area will be more agile and more sensitive.
Correct. Fine, sir.
Nitin, what is a suspected measles case definition? So as a pediatrician, do I have to report all children with fever and rash?
So initially the case definition for reporting was any child with fever, any person, not child, even adult, fever with rash and with 3C, that was cough, coryza and conjunctivitis. But because that is a restrictive definition and during outbreak, you don't mind having non-measles cases, but you are sure that you're going to pick up one measles if it is happening somewhere. They modified and removed the 3C criteria. So technically, any fever with rash, you are supposed to inform the local health authority, and they will investigate further as to what is the cause, and accordingly they will take the treatment or they will make the further inroads.
No, sir. Any age we have to report. Now,
any age,
I was told that as pediatricians, if we can make out a vesicular rash, then it is excluded. Is that true, or we report everything?
No, so you report everything. You report even a dengue, you report even a drug rash, you report everything.
Can I add, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, vesicular rash we do not take. It is only fever with maculopapular rash.
Okay. So if a pediatrician can make out a vesicular rash, then you are okay.
No, there's no need to report. Yeah, no need to report that.
Madam, but that would include then all, even if you have a very strong suspicion of a dengue or infectious mononucleosis or enteric or anything, Kawasaki's, anything. If you're looking at a fever with maculopapular, you have to report.
Yeah.
So Nehal, if sorry, Nehal, so it's like when we were doing polio surveillance. Okay, you would report even a facial palsy, a Bell's palsy, a traumatic neuropathy, because you wanted that much level of understanding and alertness that should an actual polio occur, you will catch it. So that was called as non-polio AFP rate. Similarly, to catch that one measles, you have to actually report everything so that you're sure you don't miss it. And there's something known as non-measles surveillance rate, which I'm sure Meeta can throw light. What are those? But they are the ones which you should achieve. That means you are now in a position to detect one case of measles should it happen.
So, 1 minute. Dr. Meeta, this mixed outbreak I read somewhere. So what is this? Is it that we are defining all these cases and we are calling, what is this mixed outbreak?
Okay, fine. So from any outbreak area, there has to be 5 cases to flag an outbreak. And from 5 cases, 5 serum samples and through 2 throat samples are minimum, which is collected from one outbreak. 5 serum samples and through 2 throat samples. So out of 5 serum samples, if 2 are measles positive and 2 are rubella positive, then we call it as a mixed outbreak. If out of 5, only 2 are measles positive, other 3 are negative, 2 or more are measles positive, other are negative, then we call it as a measles outbreak. If 2 are rubella positive, others are negative, then we call it as a rubella outbreak. So this is how it is classified, whether there is only measles circulation, rubella circulation, or we are finding both.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I think, Meeta, if I'm not wrong, there has been no rubella outbreak in the city as
No, sir. We have sporadic cases of rubella, around 20 odd cases, but it is not in the outbreak.
Correct.
How and whom should we report to?
So once you have fever with rash, you are supposed to report it either to the surveillance medical officer like Dr. Meeta or whoever is there in your area, either through telephone or through WhatsApp or through email, or you can report it to the ward officer, medical officer. Either of them, you can do it. And it can be digitally, verbally, or through email. There is no issue. And when you report, you have to report the patient's name, age, immunization history, correct address, and contact number.
So would we get some help?
I'll have a look. Yeah.
So may I? So would we get some help regarding if we get a list of all these ward medical officers and contact number, like we got it in COVID times in each ward? I think if we can circulate it in all the geographical zones and all the groups, it will be easier for the pediatricians to quickly do it without a lag time. So if Dr. Meeta could help out in that, maybe share it with somebody and we can distribute it.
I'll share it. All the AMO EPIs, that is EPI officers in all the wards, ward-wise, there is a list and the phone, their mobile numbers are there. So I'll share it with you, Dr. Neil.
Thank you so much.
We will put it on all the zones, the messages, and also we will email all our members. So everyone has those numbers handy.
Right.
Okay? Now, Meeta, what feedback will the doctor receive after reporting, and when will he or she receive it?
After reporting, actually, once doctor reports, samples are collected. As I told you, if it's within 7 days of onset of rash, serum sample and throat samples both are collected. That is for serology and virology. And if it is after 7 days of onset of rash, within 28 days, then only serum sample is collected. So it is IgM measles. If IgM measles is negative, it is IgM rubella, which is checked, and report generally takes around 7 days. So ideally, doctor should receive feedback. Yeah.
Ideally, his reported case has come positive or whatever.
Yeah. So ideally, doctor.
Meeta, unmute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So it takes around 7 days, and right now in outbreak situation, lab is flooded, but they are prioritizing samples of like Mumbai and Bhiwandi. So we are getting reports within 4 days. So ideally, doctor who is reporting should get report within 15 days at least. And it is through the AMO EPIs whose number I'll be sharing. So
Rajesh, I just want
to... if I understand both of you rightly, if I see a suspected case of measles, I should actually report it rather than try to prove or disprove it myself by sending investigation. Isn't that so?
So just to add, Rajesh, what you're asking, that you are right, that your duty is to report. Now, if the patient is admitted with you, you could also collect the serum sample in the throat swab. That will help the local workers. But again, it will be transported through the system to the Hafkin, which is now the it is under the Pune. As you know, now the Hafkin Institute has been taken over by the Pune NIV. So it's a NIV Mumbai now it is called. Now the question is that once there is an outbreak proven, like say from Bovandi, now if there are say 10 more cases of fever, rash, suspected measles reported to Dr. Meeta, she is not going to now collect swabs and antibodies from this patient because that area is already proven to have measles outbreak. As the labs are over flooded, they don't do it. They will do it in the new areas which are still not outbreak situation, and 5 cases come, the priority will be given to them. But of course, if any serious patient is admitted and you have already collected a sample, even if that patient is from Govandi, they will take the sample and process it. So I think you should understand the practicality that ideally every suspect should be under investigation, but because the sheer numbers are so high and the labs available to do these tests are so less, that's why the priority is given to new areas and not to do again and again from the same area. Those all cases which are coming from these 12 outbreaks are added to the suspected cases, but they need not necessarily undergo a swab and antibody.
Say one of our general pediatricians has admitted a case of measles, suspected measles, who's a little unwell, and he has to send a sample. Would you quickly tell us that any special precautions, because we've read that regarding the sampling transport of measles serology, you have to be very careful about the cold chain and the time of collection and how quickly you should. So something that we should know.
So what is said is that the swab should be taken in concurrence with the local SMO or the board officer, and then the serum has to, blood has to be collected in plain pulp, and serum has to be separated and kept in fridge till the time it is transported to the concerned authority.
Right, right. And also one more thing, sir, that since we said that we are going to look at all the extensive fever with rash, irrespective of whatever, we are probably going to send few samples, some we are not going to send, some reporting, of course, everything is to be done. But till the time we get an answer, all these are going to quarantine, right? So even
if you are admitting them, then you have to see that your hospital has
isolation,
quarantine ward or an isolation ward, like it used to happen during COVID time. And same thing, if you are not going to admit the child because he's not very sick, then you have to inform the parents about how to do home isolation, keeping the child away from other children of the same family, because many of these areas, the family size is big. There are 10 children in the same family. So keep the others away, and also to keep other people in the surrounding children away from this index case.
Okay, sir, Nitin Shah, sir. So what is this protect, prevent and treat policy?
So this protect, prevent and treat policy was a slogan which was raised for any child with pneumonia or diarrhea. So you say protect. Protect for say measles or a pneumonia would be a safe environment, breastfeeding, good nutrition, correct weaning food, vitamin A, iron, etc., vitamin D, all that, so that the child is protected, and both from indoor and outdoor pollution. And then you say prevent. So you prevent by vaccination, hand hygiene, and again, breastfeeding and a good nutrition plays a major role. And you will also add vitamin A if not given, because that also helps to prevent severe measles. And then to treat, in spite of your protection and vaccination, if the child still gets measles, then the correct case management so that you don't end up in mortality. And that will also mean correct isolation so that you don't allow the spread to happen. So that will be the treat policy. The treat would be typically oxygen, antibiotics, vitamin A and other IV fluids, etc., depending upon which pneumonia you're treating. Coming to measles, it will be essentially nutrition, hydration, and vitamin A, and look for complications.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Meeta, what can we pediatricians do to prevent this from spreading? So what is the current recommendation about this extra vaccine dose in terms of the whole thing?
See, extra vaccine dose, government has released a letter saying the districts or the planning units which are having more than 10% of children. Okay, you are asking about ORI, right? So outbreak response immunization is on the outbreak areas, only outbreak areas. We are giving an additional dose from 9 months to 5 years. That will be like an extra dose, 0 dose, which is not counted in routine vaccination. So, but yeah, that is restricted to outbreak areas.
Okay, okay. So this, sir, this 0 dose is when we will not count this dose, right?
Yeah, so actually the 0 dose is for children below 9 months who are not supposed to receive measles containing vaccine during routine immunization practices. But because during measles outbreak, As I said, around 12% of children are below 9 months. So how you can prevent by giving them vaccination as early as 6 months? So children who are given vaccine dose between 6 to 9 months that dose will be labeled as zero dose, so that not to confuse with the 9 months or the 16 months dose, and it will not be counted. And the appropriate age appropriate routine immunization will start or continue at 9 months and 16 months respectively.
So if this child is 8.5 and he takes something right now as an outbreak response immunization, he will still take his routine dose after?
No, so don't confuse between outbreak response immunization and extra dose. Outbreak response immunization is for children 9 months to 5 years.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Whereas this extra dose or zero dose is for children below 9 months. So in areas where more than 10% of the measles cases have happened below 9 months, you need to protect children below 9 months. I mean, that makes logic, right? And when you give the children below 9 months, that is labeled as zero dose so that not to confuse as the first dose. So it will be zero dose followed by first dose at 9 months and second dose at 16 months. Now you said an 8.5-month child receives a zero dose, you have to wait for at least 28 days before you give the next vaccine. So he will take his actual first dose at not 9 months, but 9.5.
Right. So 4-week gap, right, sir?
Yeah, 28
so,
days. Yeah.
Right. So, and you said this zero dose is going to be in between 6 and 9 only at places where there has been a 10% or more
than 10%.
of these children. So how would we come to know all these on the platform right now?
So the central government team has already given letter to the state governments, and the state government is passing on to the municipal corporation in the task force. So all the task force have met and they have yet not decided on zero dose, but I'm sure they have already decided that they are going to immunize 1.4 lakh children in Mumbai in these 8 areas where there are outbreaks, giving them an extra dose of MR between 9 months to 5-year-old children, irrespective of whether they've received their 1 or 2 doses. Now, between 6 to 9 months, I don't think so the policy is still taken to start immunizing, but I'm sure Meeta can throw more light. There is something which has happened very recently.
Madam, would you like to comment on this?
There are actually 6 or 7 health posts which are having cases below 9 months, which are more than 10%. So only in those areas, 6 to 9 months vaccination as zero dose would be started. And
no, so has it been started? That's the question.
No, it is going to start from 1st to 2nd December. Not yet started.
Fine.
So as general pediatricians, so we wait, right? We will
Right.
wait till our area, our geographical area is defined as one of these, and only then start the zero dose in between 6 and 9 months.
Correct.
Okay, sir. So of course,
so not only this zero dose between 6 to 9 months, Nehal, but also that extra dose for 9 months to 5 years, only if the child is from an area where the outbreak response in the form of extra dose is started. So do not get panic and start vaccinating left, right, and center, or giving at lesser age, etc. That is not required. We can reinforce this during question answer.
Right, sir. So what if the routine MR or MMR vaccine is due for someone from the outbreak area? Then will it be the zero dose or the routine dose, sir? I think probably you answered that.
No, we said that it will be an extra dose. In today's time, whatever is given as an outbreak response immunization is an extra dose. And that child will take after 20 days the correct first dose and the correct second dose, whichever is due.
Right. So I think you already said, so don't be very aggressive and just don't start giving everybody for 6 months. So what about the subsequent regular doses? That would also happen as a routine immunization to most of us on this platform today. We go on with our routine immunization as we've been doing according to our immunization schedules. Yes. Except when we get an authority saying that we need to start the zero dose or the extra dose, right, sir?
Yeah. So the only change in my practice is that if a child is coming at, say, 4 years of age, and he has not taken the last MMR, which we give the third MMR, and his second varicella vaccine, if he has not taken before, I would little push the vaccine earlier, because I would have waited for 4.5 to 5 years, but I may give little early because there is a chance of an outbreak, which may happen in area where the patient is coming from. So that's the only leeway I give, that I give the last MMR little earlier if required in the current outbreak situation, but I don't push any extra dose. I don't push any dose between 6 to 9 months just because there's a panic in the minds of the parents.
Okay. So, but a lot of these educated parents and elite parents and all have been a little hyper, and they've been coming and saying, so would there, just to discuss, would there be any harm in giving these multiple doses, if at all? So if we give one...
So we are already giving 3 MMR, whereas the public health gives only 2 MMR. So we are already giving 1 extra MMR, there is no harm. People who come with no immunization card or they've lost it, they don't remember what they've taken, say come at 5 years. Okay, I would give him 2 MMR 6 to 8 weeks apart, right? He might have received 3 actually in past and I may end up taking 5, doesn't matter. So extra doses are never a problem when it comes to MR or MMR. We gave MR campaign and extra dose to every child from 9 months to 15 years. And they might have taken 3 MMR before you took the 4th as MR. Still, it did not matter. There was no increase in the side effect. But because there is no extra side effect and I can afford an extra dose and I'm worried, is no reason to give that extra dose. And I think this is what we must be clear as pediatrician of our mind, that we don't succumb to the demand of the parents, which are scientifically not justified. As on today, there is no extra MR for every child. There is no MR in campaign mode for every child in Mumbai or for that matter in Maharashtra. So, and especially people, if they're coming from high-rise building, there is no measles outbreak in those children. There is no need to panic. Just see that they take the age-appropriate MR or MMR vaccine.
So there's no adverse effect, but would that affect the immune conversion? So if the child takes more than 3, we are looking at 100%, it doesn't happen like that.
So I'll just to give an example, like in United States, they give 2 MMR. They give it 12 months to 15 months, and they give second dose at 5 years. And now, of last few years, since in fact 2012 or 2019 or so, there have been outbreaks of mumps in United States, and some of them are large, into hundreds of cases. So in those areas where children are staying, adolescents staying in those areas, they are given an extra MMR at 15 years of age. So now a child is receiving third dose, there is no harm.
Sir was saying something.
If I know if my area is now an outbreak
Sir, your
area.
voice, sir, your volume, so it's the...
Are you using hands-free, Rajesh? Then you take it close to your mouth.
Or you can put up the video.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Badarkar. Good evening.
Namaskar.
We're saying that if I know that I'm practicing in an outbreak area, then am I allowed to give both the 0 dose in 6 to 9 months and the outbreak response immunization in 9 to 5 years in my clinic?
So that is a gray zone. This was in fact discussed even the other day, last Thursday, where there was a meeting by the Maharashtra IP, where Dr. Jitendra Gawane was the convener and he did brilliant job. Dr. Shimpi was there from WHO and he clearly said that there are no guidelines that you can give or not give. It's up to you. But generally, all this public health, outbreak response, etc., are better handled by public health authorities. Like during the MR campaign, we did not give MR or MMR to children who came to us. We said, no, you take it in the school or take it in the public health. Because one, that will be counted because we also need to know whether you achieve the percentage that you are supposed to achieve. So I would still resist from giving that extra MR or MMR unless I'm pushed to the wall by the parents saying that, no, the school is saying that they're going to give, but I don't want to give there. I want you to give. Maybe then. So there is no adversity by the government saying that you can't give.
Mm-hmm. Right, sir.
Dr. Miza can throw more lights if she wants.
Yeah, sir. If once an outbreak zone is declared, BMC is going to give extra dose from 9 months to 5 years. But those pediatricians who are practicing in the outbreak zone, there should be coordination between the EPI officer of the ward and the pediatrician, so that it will help them also if it is given, and how many are have been vaccinated needs to be reported also.
Madam, for few pediatricians who are from one of these areas right now on the platform, both of these have still not started, right? You said they'll start from...
No.
Okay. Right, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Rajesh, we can hear you.
Sir, you can talk, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah.
Better.
So, Nitin, like you said, you would prepone the 5-year dose. Would you prepone the 15-month dose if baby is between 9 to 15 months?
So if I've given an MMR at 9 months, I know immunologically I can give the second dose within 3 months of the first dose. So I would give the MMR instead of 15 months at 12 months. That is perfectly justified. It's also scientifically justified.
Okay.
This you already answered. Now,
Yes.
how should we handle refusals? Both Nitin and Meeta.
Maybe
Nitin
Meeta will
first.
have the. Okay, me first. All right. So I think I'll give a live example, Rajesh, and I think this is eye opener. I had when the outbreak started, I had reported 2 cases from the same family from Govandi who came to me. They used to come to me regularly that they had measles. So I reported to Dr. Meeta, and of course they were very reluctant to share their number and address, because in past the same family there was another child who had Bell's palsy. So I said we have to report it as AFP. And when I reported and the team went to his house to collect stool sample, the community thought that they are going to arrest that child. So the child just ran away from the house and went back to his village. Now, with that bad memory in the past, these two were reluctant to share their details. So I said, I cannot prescribe medicine unless you give me the details, because I am equally responsible in my practice to the health authority as much as to you. With great reluctance they gave, I reported to Dr. Meeta. Subsequently, whatever had to happen, happened. Now, those 2 children, after almost a month, came back yesterday to my clinic, Rajesh. And I said, what happened to these 2 children who had measles? Did someone come? Then they say, no, what khasra? कुछ तो नहीं हुआ था, अभी तो खाली खांसी है, वो टाइम भी खांसी था. I said, नहीं, मुझे याद है ऐसा कुछ मैंने नंबर लिया था, आप लोग नहीं दे रहे थे. They said, नहीं, हमने तो ऐसा नहीं किया. I examined, so they were reluctant to give me the file. I said, नहीं, मुझे file मेरा दिखाओ. In file I had written measles reported. So I said, देखो ये तो लिखा है, इसको खसरा हुआ था. They started saying, डॉक्टर साहब हम आपको हाथ जोड़ते हैं, आप प्लीज ऐसा मत करिए, आप रिपोर्ट मत करिए. Then I had to explain that when someone comes to your house after I report, they are coming for your good. They will counsel you, they'll find out some other cases, they'll give you vitamin A, they'll also give need for treatment, hospitalization, etc. They are not going to arrest you or they are going to penalize you or etc. But there is such a great reluctance by the community in general. So these children, they had not taken a single vaccine in spite of repeated reminders, and I'm sure they are not going to take. So this is a problem of vaccine hesitancy. So either it is missed opportunity or it is hesitancy. And I think missed opportunity is our problem as pediatrician or a healthcare worker, where we miss giving a child vaccine when he came. So I have a child who comes with, say, diarrhea, and if you look at the vaccination and you know that there is something missing, I remind them, come back after 5 days, I'll give you this vaccine. So that is the missed opportunity converted into an actual vaccination. But hesitancy is something which needs a lot of community approach. So you need to take the local leader, local politician, local religion leader, local people who have influence on that community, some social worker, including the doctors practicing there, whom they are going regularly, and also public health expert. And all of them then have a meeting and have a counseling session, and that's how they break the ice. So I'm sure, Meeta, you would say in Govandi, you would have broken the ice only this way.
So a little offbeat, but on the same lines, Dr. Meeta can take this opportunity. Why not promote some brand ambassadors, some politicians or some big Bollywood people, and start flashing advertisements on the television regarding stepping up routine immunization as well? Like
Meeta.
So BMC is already in talk with a prominent politician and an actor.
Right.
The script is written, so we don't know. I mean, we may get it in a few days. And regarding this refusals, yes, these are refusal pockets in which what a lot of interventions were done recently, in especially in Govandi, where the religious leaders they were one of my colleague who is expert in this met religious leaders. We had a meeting of religious leaders, explained them the importance of vaccination and what is measles and how they can help. After that, there were a lot of announcements from the religious places, which made it simple. So there are religious influencers in the area. There are medical influencers like local doctors to whom they are going regularly. Then there are social influencers. Then there are political influencers. Sometimes there are commercial influencers, like the person is working for a construction site. So that construction site, the manager he is an influencer for that family. So public health has to find the right influencer and to approach the family. Regarding missed opportunities, I would just request you all that please, I mean, there are a lot of patients, like when they come, they are more receptive, and they are, when a treating doctor is asking for vaccination history or asking to come back, as Sir has said, after the diarrhea is like if the child is well, please come back after 5 days and get vaccinated. They're very, very, very receptive. So this missed opportunities, yes, there are, and refusals needs a lot of public health interventions and social mobilization, and it needs to be a sustained activity, not just a one-time activity.
So Nehal, I will just add to
Radha
say,
Gildial.
Sorry, Rajesh,
Yeah,
just one point that I know a pediatrician, a senior pediatrician, I won't name. All he did was he employed one nurse or a lady assistant. Her job was only to check the immunization files of the patients waiting in the waiting area and tell them that ये vaccine आपका बाकी है, write on a sheet and say आप जब अंदर जाओगे डॉक्टर के साथ डिस्कस करो. With the result, the missed opportunity was converted into vaccination to the tune of almost 50%. Now that helped the patient because he completed the immunization. That helped the doctor because he also increased his practice ethically. So I think it's in our interest that we convert this opportunity into vaccination.
Madam wants
Radha
to.
Gildial, madam, you have raised a hand. You want to ask something?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Radha, the head of Department of Pediatrics at Sion Hospital. I just wanted to share that we have seen in November till this morning, 8 o'clock, 59 cases of suspected measles. And as we were discussing, as you all were discussing earlier, we've seen almost 35% of cases in the less than 1 year age group and 38% in the 1 to 5 year age group. Unimmunized, of these 59 cases, 44% have been unimmunized and 20% have been partially immunized. And coming to the areas, what we have seen is 37% of cases are from Govandi, as has been discussed, 22% from Dharavi, and many more cases from Kurla, Chembur, Bhiwandi, Mankhurd, and Antop Hill. And we are also seeing in Sion post-measles complications coming in now. We've had one encephalitis, and we've got one of the children who died was the one whom we transferred, who developed measles in our ward, and was transferred to Kasturba on ventilator and unfortunately expired there. And even now I have a post-measles bronchopneumonia on ventilator. So things are, and 80% of them had either MAM or SAM. So, you know,
So
whatever
Dr.
we have,
So Dr. Radha, the child whom you shifted actually developed rash after admission in the hospital, right?
Yes, he came with a history, 8-month-old child. He came with a history of empyema.
Yeah.
So and he was admitted on a Friday, and on Monday morning he developed the rash.
Correct.
But he was already on a ventilator from the previous day. So then we shifted him to Kasturba on the ventilator, and he expired day before.
Great
and there's
insights.
a ward that has been, there is a ward set up in Govandi, which has been set up by the BMC at Shivaji Nagar Center. And our doctors, our resident doctors from all the 4 medical colleges are posted there round the clock. So this is because a lot of hesitancy was seen in Govandi for their children to be shown outside of that area, because they are so used to going to that center. So that is one more center that is there in Govandi, primarily for the people residing in that area and in the vicinities. So
May I request all others who have raised their hands to please wait for a few minutes. We'll just go through a rapid fire and then we'll come to everyone individually. So Nitin, my maid comes from an outbreak ward. Should I allow her to come to my house?
Absolutely, because there is no reason why she would bring it and give to children if they are vaccinated. So I think the focus is on vaccinating children in time rather than trying to avoid people coming to your house.
Should I send my child to nursery or avoid?
You must always send to nursery, which is the biggest prison in the world, where the inmates are children who are there without their fault and they have no right to appeal.
Okay. Can I take my 5-month-old to the garden or play area?
Yeah, it's good for both the child as well as you.
Sir,
now, Nitin,
sir, we always... Yes, sir. Yes,
go
sir.
on, Nehal. Go on, Nehal. Yeah.
Okay. Sir, we've always heard that live vaccines, better immunity, lifelong, complete immunity. So why 2 doses of a measles-containing vaccine are needed?
Correct. So I think this is an important question to understand. See, if you wait till 12 months to give measles-containing vaccine like the Western world, you will have a lot of breakthrough measles. You are already having below 9 months. Where's the question of 18 to 12 months? Western countries eliminated measles long back, so they had the luxury to wait till 12 months. And as you know, they give MMR. So the measles component, the seroconversion, when you give the first dose at 9 months is around 80%. When you give it at around 12 months to onwards up to 15 months is around 95%. So when you give first measles containing vaccine as MR or MMR at 9 months, you are going to have 80% children seroconverted. Now suppose your measles coverage is at best 80%. You make 18 to 80, 64. So only 64% of children in that area are actually having community immunity against measles. You need 95% plus community immunity to prevent any outbreak. So you have to give the second dose at 12 to 15 months, whichever, depending on public health or private practice. So at 15 months, you give the second dose. One, it will boost the immunity for those who have taken and seroconverted. Two, it will seroconvert those who did not seroconvert with the first dose. And three, it will also give a chance to receive at least the first dose at 15 months for those who have not taken the first dose at 9 months. So three advantages of giving the second dose at 16 months. So when you do that, now you're going to cover 95% of this community immunity gap, which was say around 30%. So you are going to convert that into almost 27% immune. So you are left with only 3 to 5% who are not immune, which is not a problem because you're not going to have outbreak if you have 95% community immunity. So I repeat, you have to give 2 measles containing vaccine, especially when you're giving the first dose at 9 months for measles. Now for mumps, it doesn't work well when you give it at 9 months because the transplacentally maternal antibodies interfere. So you have to necessarily give 2 mumps containing vaccine beyond 12 months. And because we are giving MMR at 9 months, we have to necessarily give 2 more MMR after 1 year. That is now we are giving at 15 months and 5 years.
5 years.
Now suppose you give MR at 9 months, then you can give 2 MMR at 15 months and 5 years. But because the cost of MR and MMR is the same, you give MMR in private practice. That's how our IAP has said to give 3 MMR, 1 at 9 months, 1 at 15 months, 1 at 5 years.
So for us, the practicing pediatricians here, would you
Yes.
recommend an MMR only at 9 months?
Yes.
And
because the
MR,
cost
any
is
additional advantage over an MMR?
no advantage at all. In fact, MMR will have advantage because the mumps part will have some take at 9 months. It's not, I mean, in fact, to the large extent. In fact, there are two, the original study was by Dr. Jacob Jones group from Vellore in 90s, where they showed that MMR given at 9 months, the mumps part takes up only for 60 to 70%. But two subsequent studies under ICMR from Northern India showed that even when you give MMR at 9 months, the mumps uptake is more than 85%. So giving MMR at 9 months also has a value for rubella and mumps besides measles. So I would stick to MMR at 9 months, but I would necessarily give 2 more MMR at 15 months
15
and
months
5
and
years.
5 years. So is the strain used in MMR important? I'm asking specifically because this new vaccines. So
Okay.
please tell us something about it.
All right. So the MMR that we have been using in India, there are 3 components. One is GSK's vaccine, which is, I will take the name, is Priorix. I mean, it's a closed-door meeting of pediatrician. It has Gerillin strain. All right. The second MMR, which is widely used, is Serum Institute's vaccine, which is the Leningrad Zagreb strain. And the third, which is going to come, or it's already come in some part of the country, is from the Zydus, which is their indigenous vaccine, and that is using one Hoshino strain. Now, Gerillin strain and Edmonton Zagreb strain, which are used by GSK and Serum, are used for last decades, and they have found excellent safety as far as CNS side effects are concerned. That is encephalitis or aseptic meningitis. Now, the Hoshino strain is new strain which was used in Iran. Essentially, it was used in Japan in past, but they've stopped using Hoshino strain in Japan because the subclinic, the vaccine-induced mumps was seen in almost 5 to 7% when you use Hoshino strain. So that's the reason why, Japan is a very finicky country. They don't like any side effect. So they stop using Hoshino strain and they switch back to Gerillin strain. So now Hoshino strain is being used in Iran. But when you give Hoshino strain, the Zydus vaccine, the study are done for children from 15 months of age onwards. There is no study of that Hoshino strain MMR of Zydus at 9 months. But I mean, if you ask me scientifically, it should work if it works at 15 months, like all of the vaccines. But if you ask me, evidence is there is no study of using that at 9 months. There are studies of using Hoshino strain MMR at 9 months. These are the Iranian vaccine, not the Zydus vaccine. So that is the best knowledge that I have on this Hoshino strain from the Zydus.
So in between the two which we are existing right now, any is okay. They both are equal.
Absolutely. In fact, I would say, I always believe that any vaccine which is licensed in the country is safe and good, please do use it. It's up to your choice individually what you want to do. We do not discriminate between vaccines which are licensed.
Dr. Meeta, madam, now is it time for one more round of MR campaign for all children? And of course, in lines with, was the previous MR campaign a success or a failure? And would something like that now be in line with the current outbreak?
Okay, previous MR campaign was a success, definitely. And in Mumbai, 26 lakhs plus children were vaccinated. For the first time, it was an injectable campaign. And I would say IAP, all the pediatricians really supported very, very strongly. And I mean, very senior pediatricians came to schools to talk to parents. I mean, even Ambedkar sir had come to a school to talk to parents. So credit goes to all of you too, that we could, and it was a success. Why? Because the incidence of measles, if you see, in 2019 and 20 was really, it has reduced. And wherever in the country MR campaign was conducted, 12 months before the campaign and 12 months after the campaign, there was drastic reduction in the confirmed measles cases.
The figures would be like, madam, what 70-75% we were told. It was that great improvement in the reduction of the cases of measles post MR campaign.
Yes.
So Nehal, I will just add here that we had an extremely successful MR campaign in 2018-19. All of us pitched in, and I'm sure there was no question it worked. But remember, during COVID time, India has a birth core of 28 million children born. We add one Australia every year. And every week, 5 lakh children are born. When you look at months of actual lockdown and another few months of lockdown-like situation, how many lakhs of children did not have access for vaccination or they did not come forward? And many of them went back to village. They neither took there nor they took here. With the result, you had a large cohort of children who had accumulated over the last 1.5 years. And that's the reason why these outbreaks are there. And it is not true only for India. It's also, as I said, 10 countries which are measles eliminated have established retransmission. So it's a world over phenomenon. I'm sure together we will and we shall and we will overcome this problem.
Sure. Madam, could you say a couple of things about the measles, mission measles elimination of 2023 that we are looking at?
Yeah. Southeast Asia region country, including India, is signatory to eliminate measles by December 2023. Okay. Though it is reported as an ambitious target, right now, this is the right time to achieve this, because a lot of measles awareness is there. Measles outbreak has shown us that there is need to urgently improve routine immunization performance. So December 2023, in which roadmap has been defined. There is a guidebook by a ministry which is released, that is roadmap to measles elimination, in which district is taken as a unit. And most important thing which sir had mentioned is non-measles, non-rubella discard rate. So which is considered as a benchmark for knowing the surveillance. Like if there has to be 2 cases per 1 lakh, which are non-measles and non-rubella. That means that we picking up all the cases. That is why reporting of fever with macular rash is very, very important. So this is one of the, for measles elimination also, when we see elimination, then it has to achieve good surveillance, highly sensitive surveillance indicators, plus immunization, and district is a primary unit for measles elimination. So it will be district specific elimination.
Correct.
So, madam, how would you define this elimination in terms of a particular period that you will
12
describe?
months.
Sorry, madam?
Yeah, it is 12 months of
12 months.
Yeah, 12 months of period.
Nitin, how does one treat measles? I think you have already alluded to something. So what about vitamin A and what about complications that we should be aware of?
Correct. So vitamin A specifically, there have been a Cochrane review in 2022 which has looked at vitamin A and measles and has very clearly said that there is definitely a mortality benefit and morbidity benefit. It means the severity is less, the incidence is less, and the deaths are less if child has received vitamin A. So child above 1 year receives 2 lakhs of unit vitamin A on day 1 and day 2, that is 2 doses. Child less than 1 year receives 1 lakh unit on day 1 and 1 lakh unit on day 2. And now as we are seeing measles-like illness in children even below 6 months, and as I said, that colleague of mine who talked to me from Vashi, that an 8-week child fever with rash, does he give? So there the dose is 50,000 units on day 1 and 50,000 units on day 2. Now, vitamin A definitely is the treatment for both prevention of measles as well as prevention severity of measles. The other thing is all children don't need to be admitted. So look at their hydration, look at their rapid breathing, oxygenation if you have a pulse oximeter, look at that the fever has subsided, 48 hours after this rash has started appearing, which means no, the fever crashes, and they don't have any other complication like severe diarrhea, dehydration, or drowsiness. If these red flag signs are not there, they can be home isolated, given good nutrition, given good hydration, given vitamin A, and watch for complication. Anyone who is having red flag sign is admitted in a facility which is created for measles. And now there are more than 6 or 7 hospitals in Mumbai where you can admit these children and they will be given free treatment. And you have to give correct, again, like IV fluid, hydration, and maybe antibiotic if there is a pneumonia, and vitamin A, not to forget. And post measles recovery, follow them up for the next 6 to 8 weeks. As Dr. Radha said, some of them can go into complication like malnutrition. So marasmus, kwashiorkor, tuberculosis, etc. can happen in the children. So it's a dreaded disease from immunity point of view. So you must follow them up for the next 2 to 3 months and see that they are all okay.
So
And
in private practice, many
Yes.
of us don't give vitamin A to
Right.
everybody.
I was just
No,
asking.
so you must
your
give
comment on that?
every child with fever, with rash, now on we will give vitamin A. If you give vitamin A to any child, there is no harm. At the most, there might be vomiting and a boggy AF in small infants, 48 within the first 48 hours after the vitamin A dose, but that is not, it doesn't lead to any long-term sequelae, so it is safe to give. So we must all give. The question is availability. So in past, we used to have Aquazole injections. Then we used to have vitamin A syrup, which are there in public health. Do we also have vitamin A softfuls, which you just open the softful and squeeze. So there are 6 drops in for 2 lakhs unit softful and 4 drops in a 1 lakh softful. And for 50,000, you give just 2 drops. For 1 lakh, you give the 4 drop. And for 2 lakh, you give the 6 drops. You also have these vitamin A tablets from some pharmaceutical company, which have 50,000 units. So accordingly, you can give them 4 tablets or 2 tablets or 1 tablet for above 1 year, 6 months to 1 year and below 6 months.
So 1 minute, sir, can I ask? So you said you start giving vitamin A to all children with fever and rash. Any
Yes.
role of a prophylactic vitamin A in our setup where we've not been using really?
Yeah, so vitamin A as a prophylaxis, there is another Cochrane review on benefits of vitamin A against child mortality. And again, that Cochrane review very clearly showed that there is at least 12% mortality benefit and 12% all-cause morbidity benefit of giving vitamin A. And that's the reason why almost 10% of pregnant women themselves are vitamin A deficient. So you can imagine what the children would have vitamin A source when they are born. So these children should receive vitamin A from 6 months of age onwards. From 9 months of age onwards with the first MR, and then every 6 months for the first 5 years. And when you give 2 lakh units to above 1 year and 1 lakh to below 1 year, it lasts for 4 to 6 months. That's how you give every 6 months.
6 months, 6 monthly,
Yes.
sir. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Geeta, you already mentioned about rubella and other vaccine preventable disease surveillance. At this point, I want to bring up one small issue which both of you can take up. Many pediatricians are a little uncomfortable with the surveillance procedure because they are being asked to share names and numbers of the patients that they vaccinated. And then they feel that these patients will be given some information which is going to be contrary to their interests, etc., etc. So anything that you want to say on this?
Sir, you're asking about routine immunization coverage?
Yes.
Yeah. Sir, actually BMC has been asking the names and addresses because the actual number, the actual quantum of the number the children immunized is much more than the birth cohort. So probably to cross-check, there is, usually whichever is immunized in private setup is included as HMIS coverage from private setup in BMC. So there is no intention to cross-check with, parents and all. It is just to cross-check their data, whether the data is true, whether the figures are not inflated.
So Meeta, I have one suggestion here, and I'm sure Rajesh is not able to say it openly, but it's a closed door meeting. There have been complaints from pediatricians that when they've reported to the local authorities, these patients have been contacted by some healthcare worker saying that the same vaccines are given free here. Why are you going there? We have fresh stock, they have old stock, and etc. Discouraging the patient to go back to the private practitioner. I think that is going to be deterrent because then the practitioner are not very happy with what's happening. So your comment and whether how we can resolve this issue.
Sir, if there are some incidences, please bring it to our notice so that we can take up with the, like you had reported in past about
Yes.
some giving the name of the
Yes.
health post. So it
Yes.
really helps. because
Okay, good.
overall the coverage, what government wants is to bring up their routine immunization coverage. So it's not that like there are a lot of unimmunized children in the area which needs to be covered actually. So
Okay.
yeah.
I think the last question which we have is, Nitin, what will be the impact of all this on future cases of SSP?
So SSP is a direct reason for someone who had wild measles in the past. Now, if you have an outbreak in the next 5 to 7 years, there will be as many more cases of SSP. That's for the future. But what we are seeing is actually an increased number of SSP reported during COVID time. Like Dr. Udani's group from Hinduja Hospital had at least twice the number of SSP cases than they used to ever see before COVID. And Wadia Hospital, where Dr. Anaita and other people are working, they have seen 4 times more rise in SSP cases during COVID time than ever they saw before. Now, their theory is that, I mean, as you know, if you have chicken pox, then many of children of SSP have history of recent chicken pox. And we know chicken pox as a disease is immunodeficiency creating type of virus. So they feel the same thing happened probably with COVID. At COVID, we know long COVID people suffer because of subtle immunodeficiency. So that may be the reason why the SSP has gone up. This is only a conjecture, is not proven. But the fact is that there have been more cases of SSP during COVID time than ever before. And that may be because of immunosuppression created by COVID, even in children. So that is the role of SSP in current era and SSP in the future.
Sure. So I think we have finished most of our questions. Now we'll allow audience participation. Dr. Bodhankar, sir, you had raised your hand earlier. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you, Nitin and WJ expert. Very excellent deliberation and clearing all the doubt. Only one question: the quarantine period you are not mentioning. It is 7 days for hospital and the same thing for the home. Number one. Number two, yeah. Yes.
So let me answer that. The people with measles are infective 4 days before the rash appears and 4 days after the rash appears. So 5 days after the rash appears, that person is no more infective. So the isolation can end there.
Okay. So there is no definite period. But what was conveyed to us in our NMC Nagpur that irrespective of anything, you have to isolate 7 days.
That's
That is
okay.
wrong.
There's no problem. It's okay. COVID also it kept on fluctuating from 14 days to 7 days.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
Dr. Alok Gupta, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was an excellent talk by Dr. Nitin Shah and Dr. Meeta and the Mumbai IIP. There are several questions, but I know it won't be possible to answer all of them. The slums areas are most affected, and most of the people living in slums will not report to pediatricians. How is the government taking the precautions about those children who do not report to health authorities, any of the doctors, or to non-pediatricians, and to faculties other than modern medicine?
So in regards to what? In regards to what? Case surveillance or immunization?
Case surveillance.
Case surveillance is done door to door. Dr. Alok Gupta, in Mumbai, after the outbreaks have started, there have been door-to-door surveillance done by the municipal healthcare workers. They have visited some more than 1 lakh houses in Mumbai. So that is taken, I mean, during outbreak, during routine, it may or may not happen. But during outbreak, certainly that happens. For immunization, again, once you find an outbreak, children around the area are found out as to who have not received vaccine. They have all been given a vaccine. They have been given an extra dose of vaccine if they are about 9 months to 15 years. And in fact, now all these areas will be covered by that extra dose in the coming week.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Dr. Vijay Yevle has also raised his hand.
Vijay.
Oh, can you hear me? Thank you, Rajesh and Nehal. Excellent session. I have a question to Dr. Meeta. Vaccine hesitancy and vaccination failure because of COVID has led to build-up of pool of susceptible children. That perhaps led to the measles outbreak. I'm sure you must be having data on the DPT coverage. Is anything being anticipated, planned by the corporation?
For the other vaccine preventable diseases which are under surveillance.
Diphtheria,
Okay.
for example.
Yeah. Sir, I'll talk on the surveillance point of view as well as immunization point of
Yes.
view, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So for surveillance, we are doing case-based surveillance for diphtheria, pertussis, and neonatal tetanus. So any case which with upper respiratory tract infection with adherent membrane in any age needs to be reported. And there are cases which are reported by our IAP Mumbai doctors also of diphtheria, suspected diphtheria. Suspected pertussis is a patient with 2 weeks to more than 2 weeks of cough with paroxysm of coughing on inspiratory whoop, etc. And neonatal tetanus suspect definition is 3 to 28 days. A child develops stiffness or convulsions. That is neonatal tetanus. So case-based surveillance is on, and whenever the case is reported of diphtheria, pertussis, or NNT, samples are collected, and sample goes to Kasturba lab, which is a WHO accredited lab for diphtheria, pertussis. Regarding immunization, sir, with the measles outbreak, yes, there is a risk of other vaccine preventable disease outbreak also. So with measles coverage, the additional sessions are being conducted all throughout Mumbai. And that is not just for measles, all the vaccines like Penta and everything, whatever is due is being given.
Wonderful.
No, Dr. Miza, my question is passive case surveillance is on. That is agreed. What I want to know is what are the figures saying? The coverage, has it dipped substantially to fear an outbreak of other vaccine preventers?
So overall, if you see Mumbai coverage is not much dipped. I mean, it is in 80s, but so there are several pockets like here in Govandi and Kurla where there is discrepancy. So similar way, sir, every state like state coverage, or if you see district coverage looks very good on HMIS and everything. But there are pockets of unimmunized children which is responsible for transmission.
So, Mita, can I ask you one question? Are these the same pockets which also had registered for the last few polio cases?
Sir, polio. So, these are the polio outbreak areas also.
Correct.
Like
so I think
it
is the community which is also equally responsible, if not more, rather than, and the vaccines are there, vaccinators are there, but they just don't take their children for vaccination, irrespective of how much you cajole them. I think that's why they suffer so much.
Why I raise this point is I think if we can anticipate, and because this is a drive for injectable vaccine, which is not so easy to undertake. If the pockets are same, is it not possible to plan DPT on measles? MR plus
no,
DPT.
so that's what she said. Nah, we are not going to do DPT as a outbreak response extra dose, but catch them and give them the remaining doses. Catch up, so complete their immunization card. So I think that's where, again, because there's heightened awareness about vaccination in general because of measles, that's piggybacking the other vaccine on measles and completing the remaining doses. I completely agree. I mean, that is what is being done.
Sir, this is in addition to this. This is outbreak response immunization is something which has come from ministry right now. But once the outbreaks were confirmed, BMC strengthened the routine immunization with additional sessions. So the additional sessions were conducted for all the vaccines.
Sure. Now, there are a lot of questions on the chat about vitamin A. Most of them are answered. One question is that in the absence of proven deficiency of vitamin A, is it safe to give universal vitamin A to everyone?
Correct. So there was only one study from North by Dr. I think Kapil Umesh, which showed that if you give healthy children, well-nourished vitamin A, it may do some harm, if I cannot help. But I think such exceptions cannot be made as a rule in public health, where you just follow one guideline. I think the bottom line is that vitamin A in the given dose at the frequency which is given in the public health is safe for all children, including healthy children. So there is no reason why we should not promote vitamin A for all children.
Then there are a lot of questions about surveillance health officer numbers and which hospitals have been designated, etc. Yes. So as we said during the session, once we get this list from the authorities, we will put it as an email to all members as well as on the WhatsApp groups.
Correct.
Nitin, another interesting question is that infants on formula feeds only may not have antibodies through mother's milk. So should they be given the vaccine earlier?
No. So the maternal antibodies are the ones which are transplacentally transmitted to a large extent, and not only from the breast milk. Breast milk does add to the antibodies available, but the major chunk of the antibody in the baby is the transplacental maternal antibody. So if the mother is robust and healthy, she will have transparent maternal antibody which will last for 9 to 12 months. The mother is not that robust and healthy and malnourished herself, like that's going to happen in many of the slum area. The antibodies which are transparently transmitted are poor in number and they will disappear faster. Just to give a simile, you have for HIV, if a mother is HIV infected, the baby will be ELISA positive up to 18 months in the Western country. But our study showed that by 9 months in India, most of these babies become negative if they are not infected from the mother. So we have a different situation where the mothers who are malnourished may not transmit as much antibody, but they are all through transplacental route rather than through breast milk.
So one more question. What about the pubertal dose? 13 to 14 years as is done globally. What about that in?
So that is done mainly for rubella. Now, when you give MR2 campaign, over the next 10 or 12 years, you will have cohort which have received 2 MR already who are now into that age group. So if someone has not received any rubella containing vaccine in the life, especially for a girl child, but I would say even for the boy child, they should receive rubella containing vaccine. Instead of giving only rubella single component vaccine, better to give them MMR if they have not received. So I would give MMR to every boy and girl who has not taken 2 MMRs beyond 1 year of age in his life or her life.
Another question on like measles, there is an increase in tuberculosis, how to manage. I think it's a huge discussion, but I will make only one plea to everyone. Please, please try for a microbiological diagnosis. Please don't let your diagnosis be empirical based on just a Mantoux or a non-specific shadow on an X-ray chest. Nitin, if a child gets measles, when can the next regular vaccine be given?
So normally measles leads to a lot of immunosuppression. And in fact, for nephrotic syndrome, steroids as a treatment was an invention by default, where children with nephrotic syndrome, if they develop measles, they went into spontaneous remission. So they knew that measles leads to such immunosuppression that even nephrotic syndrome disappears. So it remains for 4 to 6 weeks. So I would give any other vaccine after 4 to 6 weeks after recovery.
So one question,
how much does questions of sorry Nehal, go on.
So there's one question that how much immunity, how long would the immunity after a natural infection with measles like illness last?
No, measles like illness is not measles. If you have a proven measles, it's a lifelong immunity after natural infection.
Okay, so in the same lines, there is one person who's written that there was some case of a child who has been regularly vaccinated, 6.5-year-old, taken his MMR at 5 years, right now come with some mild fever for 2 days and fever with rash, maculopapular. Otherwise active, playful, everything okay.
Correct.
And then in the same school, more than half of the percentage of students in the class reported with similar kind of illnesses.
Correct.
So what
so
about
it may
this?
be measles or other exanthematous fever, but we are not discriminating. We will report such cases, and they will undergo appropriate investigation because we are amidst a measles outbreak.
Right, sir.
Dr. Neha Nabar, you wanted to ask something? Has it been covered?
Yes, sir. Sir, I am actually working at Shatabdi Hospital, Govandi. So thanks a lot for such an informative lecture, because we are actually going crazy with measles. There are too many cases. I just wanted to ask, in SAM children, is there any role of giving prophylactic antibiotics? Because we are getting all these children who are like very, very really malnourished, and they look very sick when they are coming to us in our OPD.
So if you have a SAM who is hospitalized, I would cover with an antibiotic. But if a SAM who is not needing hospitalization,
one who is not that bad, and because our wards are full, so even children who are relatively stable, we have to send them home. So in
so
such
that's
a case comes to the OPD, should we like give whatever any antibiotic, because we don't know, they don't come for follow up, and
No, so if the fever doesn't crash within 40 to 72 hours of the onset of rash, the child who is leading into complication, investigate and treat accordingly. But I wouldn't, out of fear that they won't come back, then my wards are full, I would start antibiotic empirically, because I may induce a lot of resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. So families are coming with three kids with all same complaints like that.
Yes. So you're lucky you only have family with 3 kids. We have had family with 10 children.
No. 3 kids, they come with in the OPD. Okay. They have 8 kids at home.
Oh my.
There are a lot of questions on whether we can view this session again. Yes, we will be uploading it on the IIP Mumbai website. So feel free to log in and please review the whatever you want to. Dr. Shweta B. Ram is your question answered, or would you want to ask?
Thank you, sir, for the excellent session. Sir, I'm practicing in Kerala. My question is that, is there any change in morphology of the rash this time? Because we see people with no typical rash as such, but there are some follicles like here and there are some follicles with mild itching, which happens on the 4th day of fever and starts typically in the face and then spreading to the body, but not much.
So we haven't seen any change in the on the either the type of rash or the chronology of the rash. But if you have a child who has got itching and some papular rash, then I think you should investigate them by measles antibody and or a swab. If they are proven to be measles, then for sure, if you have a collection of such patients, you may write it up as a research. But by and large, it is still behaving as the old measles when we were residents. High fever, cough, cold, red eyes, child is sick, little diarrhea. 5th day, you don't know what's happening, and suddenly the rash comes. Next 2 days, the rash starts going from cephalocaudal, and the child's fever starting coming down. Most of them recover if they are healthy and well nourished. Some of them will go into complication, and they will be treated accordingly. So that's the typical measles that we are still seeing in our country.
Okay,
I think Rohit is there.
Bodhankar, sir.
Dr. Rohit Agrawal wants to ask something.
Yeah, Rohit, sir.
Yeah, hello. Hi.
Incidentally, Dr. Rohit has reported 5 cases who are hospitalized with measles from his hospital to the...
7 cases are reported.
Yes.
Well, by the way, it's very lucid discussion. I got a question for Dr. Meeta. In view of this outbreaks in particular pockets, I mean, have you initiated a 6 months dose of measles unvaccinated children? And what about the extra dose about the 9 months or 12 month children who are not vaccinated? These 2 initiatives have been taken by municipal corporation, and what is your coverage if you are taken up? I just wanted to know.
Okay, sir, first thing is dropouts. Those who not received the routine vaccination at 9 months and 15 months. For that, routine immunization intensification is done in these areas. They are organizing additional sessions. For example, in Govandi, there are 20 extra sessions every day, which are being conducted in those pockets where ASHAs are actively searching the houses. And in the same pocket, there are routine immunization sessions so that they convert.
Are you initiating into irrespective of their whether they are
No, sir, it is dropouts.
Rohit, she's talking about intensified routine immunization. We already said that the extra dose for 9 months to 5 years and the 0 dose for 6 to 9 months has not been started, though in principle it's agreed and it will start in the next 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, because 6 months they should start in the pocket, no, where the outbreak.
The next 2 to 3 days. That's what she said. No?
2 3 days.
Okay, thank you so much.
In outbreak areas.
Yeah,
but thank you for reporting those 5-7 cases.
Yeah. I've reported 7 now.
Bodhankar, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir. And Dr. Rajesh, Nitin, last my appeal to NITA of WHO and IIP that we often don't get vitamin A solution from corporation not available. What in practice I do, I give tablet Arovit 50,000 units.
Correct.
To afford. So can we appeal to WHO, IAP to make it available for routine use, not only because of major, but otherwise also? Nitin.
So I discussed with Meeta, but I think commercial preparation is available. Abbott tablets, as you mentioned, 50 is good enough. So I think that's perfectly fine.
So, the tablet is difficult. We crush it for 9 months.
I know.
But
No,
the solution
but
which
even
was available.
But even in Mumbai, Dr. Bodhankar, they are using soft chews. So they squeeze the liquid out of the soft chew.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
A lot of questions, Nitin Shah, sir, a lot of questions about COVID and measles. Is there any relation and is there anything to be done?
So I said, first of all, COVID and measles, the only relation is that COVID led to delay in immunization in lakhs of children, leading to a accumulation of a cohort of babies who are not immunized or partially immunized, pushing them into measles affected children in outbreak when the virus entered in some closely knit community where a lot of high density population was there and a lot of unimmunized children was there. But beyond that, COVID definitely, I feel, has led to increase in the SSP cases, though I don't have a proof for that, but there is a observation. But beyond that, there's nothing common between COVID and measles.
Amruta and Nehal, are any important questions missed or are we done? Yes, Rajendra Vaidya, sir.
Rajesh, good evening. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Rajendra Vaidya, sir. Yeah.
Good evening. Excellent session. Just I want one
Last question.
सर तुमचा आवाज येत नाही राजेंद्र साहेब जरा मोठ्याने बोला.
आता ऐकू येते सर?
हो 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 हो.
Excellent session, sir. Thanks for the excellent session as usual. Now in future, sir, we are bound to get a little more cases of SSP. We are giving immunization. Rarely, the measles vaccine might also lead to SSP. So, is there a way to differentiate in that situation, whether by genotyping, whether it is because of the vaccine virus or wild virus?
No, it is not possible. So, world over, it has been shown that countries with very high MMR coverage, SSP almost disappeared, which means vaccination does not lead to SSP. Those cases which have immunized and yet develop SSP, it is believed that they had a natural measles before they received the first vaccine. So by and large, it is believed it is the wild measles virus which leads to slow viral disease.
Like in polio,
Meeta, apparently today it has been announced in the news that all cases will be quarantined in institutions in outbreak area. Is that true?
Sir, actually, as Dr. Radha had mentioned, Shivaji Nagar area, Govandi area, there is a Shivaji Nagar Urban Health Center where they created kind of isolation ward. Those patients were not willing to go to Kasturba Hospital. They have near to home hospital. Likewise, Kurla Bhaba Hospital also has an isolation ward to manage mild to moderate cases. And when the patients are like severe cases, Kasturba Hospital has more than 100 beds. So it is not quarantine as such. They've been advised to keep the child at home for 4 days, at least 4 days after the onset of rash. And this isolation are for mild to moderate cases near to their home, that is Kurla Bhaba, and Seven Hills Hospital also has come up as a measles hospital. For western suburbs like PP North Ward, Pathanwadi also has cases and outbreaks. So localized everywhere geographically to lessen the burden of mild to moderate cases on Kasturba Hospital, this isolation facilities have been started.
No, so the question, Meeta, is that is it compulsory that a diagnosed or a suspected measles has to be in the facility, or he can be home isolated?
He can be home isolated. There's nothing like that.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Sir, requests to both the experts from most of the people, Dr. Meeta to share the list as sir has already said as soon as possible, and Nitin Shah sir to give a crystal clear summary of take-home messages after the thing, which we'll be able to circulate.
Okay, sure, I will.
So I think we have finished most of the questions asked in the chat beyond our discussion. So we will end this session with a vote of thanks by our Treasurer of Mumbai IIP, Dr. Amruta Shirodkar.
Rajesh, can
Vijay sir wants to ask the question.
Yes, Vijay.
I want to make a comment that in private sector, people are now asking upfront, or kuch measles dena hai kya? I think we must utilize this opportunity to push the 5th year MMR and increase the coverage so that children are protected and mums in the long run.
Perfect. So before the vote of thanks, I would just want to say all the people who have joined in that if you have any further queries, you're not understood or something clarification, I am always available. In fact, I've been getting queries on WhatsApp since last several weeks on many immunization, including measles. I am available. If sometime I am tired, I will send a voice message in the WhatsApp instead of typing, because typing becomes very boring. But be assured, myself and Meeta both are available for any queries that you may have and which you have not understood in spite of this 2 hours of marathon session.
Great.
Thank you, sir. Amruta, sir.
Amruta?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Firstly, many thanks to our esteemed faculty for today, Dr. Nitin Shah, sir, and Dr. Meeta Vashi, sir. Meeta Vashi, madam, for such an informative, important and need of the hour session. I'm sure it was extremely helpful to all of us who attended here today. I would also extend thank you to all the CIIP dignitaries who joined in today, Dr. Upendra Kinjodekar, sir, Dr. Vinit Saxena, sir, and Dr. Basavaraja, sir. I would also like to thank President Dr. Hemant Gangolia, sir, and Dr. Amol Pawar, sir, from the Maha IIP, and OBs of all the branches for joining in. Thank you to all the delegates, which included many senior pediatricians today, for joining in today for this session. And special thanks to our moderators, Dr. Rajesh Chokhani, sir, and Nehal Shah, for making the session so interesting with crisp questions. Thank you, everyone, and thank you Thank you everyone from Team IIP.
Thank you, Amruta, for that very heartfelt thanks to all of us.
Yeah, thank you, madam.
Friends,
You have done wonderful.
to end, I would just say that viruses are like James Bond. They never say die. But unlike James Bond movies, I hope James Bond doesn't win, but we win. So I hope viruses don't win, but we win. Thank you very much for joining in today. And let's all work together to eliminate this threat as well. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for Mumbai IIP for the opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Meeta, especially.
Thank you,
for
sir.
leading
Thank
to
you
our
for
discussion.
inviting me, and
Pleasure,
thanks a lot.
pleasure, pleasure. And there are
Thank
someone
you,
who
Mumbai
asking-
IIP, Dr. Nitin Shah, sir, Dr. Meeta ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are Amol.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amol,
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Amol, Hemant, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Vadanka,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Yes, sir. Good night, all. Yes.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.